Hello everyone, welcome back to the Goody Life, where life is good and everything is great. I am Dr. Goody, and if you watched my video from last week, you would have seen where I did my tour for Helsinki, Finland. So after we got off from Helsinki, we got onto the Silja Symphony cruise and we sailed overnight straight over to Stockholm, Sweden. So again, I'm really excited to share all the wonderful things we're doing in Stockholm. We started off on a hop-on, hop-off bus, and that's what I'm on today. As you can see, the background behind me is showing all the places we're driving through. So I'm super excited to show you guys what are some of the fun stuff we did in Stockholm, Sweden. So before I talk about what we did in Stockholm, Sweden, I want to back up a bit and talk about our journey and how we got there. And from Helsinki, we had a cruise, an overnight cruise to get us to Stockholm. And the really cool thing is that the cruise terminal was really close by to our hotel. I do want to say when we got to the terminal, it was a really easy and hassle-free process to get onto the cruise. Another cool thing that I wanted to point out was that in Scandinavia, there is this character called Moomin, and it seems it's something that the kids really like. And while we were waiting online to get onto the cruise, they had that character come out, and it was just entertaining the kids, and everybody was just laughing and having a good time. Here I am on the Silja cruise, and the background is Finland's skyline. It's looking very beautiful. And this was the promenade deck, the topmost deck. And as we kind of get in, there's the main deck. The main deck is where everything was happening. All the entertainment, if you needed to shop something, the restaurant, all of that was on the main deck. So as you can see, we're having a drink right now, and we're sailing off in the sunset, leaving Helsinki behind. So as the sun set, I went and did some shopping while I was on the cruise. We had some dinner, which was really yummylicious. This is a little night view of what it looked like when we were sailing. There were many islands around, and I can't imagine what they look like in the daytime, but it was looking beautiful at the nighttime also. And then this is the next morning on the cruise. So I just took some pictures from the cruise of Stockholm, and we also had breakfast on the cruise, which was really good. They had a wide variety of different things to eat right before we got off. This is the hotel that we stayed at, and one fun fact was that this was a brand new wing on the hotel, and I think that we were the first couple to stay in this room. So that was pretty cool. The room was really big and spacious, had a lot of storage for our luggage. The bathroom was just enormous. The ceiling, it was high ceiling, and as you would see when we go outside on the patio, it had a great city view of Stockholm. I really love all the colors and architect of all the buildings where we were from the hotel and the location where we were being able to see all of that. And like I've mentioned in the Helsinki video, the building and architect in the Scandinavian countries are just so beautiful. Pictures cannot do justice in describing what we were seeing. The next day, we went on a hop-on, hop-off bus. But before we got on the bus, we walked by this cute marketplace, which was like a farmer's market where they were selling fruits, veggies, clothing. I highly recommend doing the hop-on, hop-off bus if you are in Stockholm, Sweden. It goes through all the main highlights, all the main things tourists want to see while they are there. I won't be talking throughout this whole video because I want you guys to kind of just enjoy it. We did a lot of recording, so I would have that going. So I will just point out a few things and a few places that was a part of this bus tour. As a tourist, we traveled to see all the main hot spots. Here are the list of places we saw while we were on the hop-on, hop-off bus. Gamla Stan, which is the old town, the Vasa Museum, Nordic Museum, Viking Museum, ABBA Museum, the Royal Palace, Parliament House, the City Hall, and the City Park. While we're driving right now on the bus, you're seeing the City Park on one side and all these other buildings on the other side, which was really cool because on one half you have this park where you can go on a hike, take a walk, a stroll, and on the other half was all these commercial. So the first level of every buildings were stores, restaurant, and commercial activities that was taking place, and above it was the apartments where people live. As the bus was going through, you can get off at each one of these highlights and then get back on the bus. So we stopped and got off at a few, but we couldn't get it all done in one day. But the really cool thing was, because we knew where they all were, the next day we went back on foot and saw everything and took as much time as we needed and took as many pictures as we wanted and really got to enjoy each location. One thing about me is that I will talk with anyone, the receptionist, somebody on the streets. I would always find out what are the main things or what's to do in any city or town that we're in. And one thing that I heard when I was in each of the Scandinavian country was that they said the place was not that big, which was true. So even though on the bus it takes about an hour and a half to spin around Stockholm, by foot, because the bus was taking its time driving us through every area. But even by foot the next day, it just took us 15 minutes to get to the Gamla Stan, which is the old town, which was one of the farthest destinations if you were going on the bus. If you have a family and you have kids, the Vasa Museum is a must-see. They have one of the largest Viking ship there. It was a really cool experience to see that. They also had like a really nice souvenir store if you want to pick something up from there. They had a restaurant where we had artichoke and parsnip soup. This is the next day where we explore Stockholm by foot. So one of the main street is Queen Street. This street connects you to everything around. Queen Street also had their famous Swedish sweet store where we stopped at, and there I am with some sweets where we bought some fikas and some Swedish cookies to bring back home. They also had a lot of souvenir stores on that street. So that's a tool picking up some souvenirs. They also had a lot of shopping on that street. They had a lot of restaurants there, different type of cuisine that if you wanted to try something different to eat. As we walked through on Queen Street, we went right back to Gamla Stan, went back to Parliament Building, to the Royal Palace, so where we got to take our time and take more pictures and explore the place a bit more. And finally, since it was our last evening, we're taking in the last sunset as we're walking back to the hotel before we leave the next day to Oslo, Norway. The next morning, we got up and head off to Central Station, which was about 2 to 3 minutes away from our hotel. And that's where we got on to the train. There you go, everyone. Our beautiful trip in Stockholm, Sweden. We had a beautiful and amazing time. I hope you guys love this video. And if you do, don't forget to hit the subscribe icon below. Also like, share, and comment. And right now, as you can see, we're at this beautiful train station in Stockholm, and we're getting ready to get on the train to head over to Norway. So I'll see you guys in Oslo, Norway. Bye for now.